Welcome back, everybody. This is your girl Nachi, and I'm here with the one and only.
The one and only Flaquita de Oro.
Just like Papa used to call you. And we are here with a very special guest and our dear cousin, Eda Franco. So we're just so excited to
Yay.
have you here. When Damaris and I were just thinking about this topic on mental health, you were the first one that came to mind, of course, because of your background, but also your spiritual background and path that you've taken. I think is just like a unique perspective that you have and you can bring to the conversation. So we're happy to have you here, and we would like you to share a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you. Of course, we know you. We've known you forever, since you were born.
All your life.
Ever.
Hello, Cuzzos. It's so good to be here. Thank you. I'm humbled by your invitation to come and share with you today a little bit about mental health. And it's such a vast topic, so many avenues we can go through
Mhm.
in that. And so hopefully we'll get like an overview today and hopefully reach some people and get some help. Because that's at the end of the day, that's
Right.
the
Absolutely.
goal, is that to get people connected to what they need. And so, what is my background? Well, I'm a social worker. I've been a social worker since about age 5. And I tell you that because our family
Sorry, excuse me?
migrated. My family migrated from DR, right? And
Mm,
you may
Praise
not know
God.
this. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but I remember and I recall and I have memories of going into social services or going
Mhm.
to job things or being the translator because I spoke English. And so I
yeah.
acted as a translator, and I really believe that nurturing allowed that
Mhm.
social work seed to be planted. And so in 89, after I got out of college, I landed a role at the Bronx Addiction Treatment Center where I was a substance abuse counselor. And from there, I shifted like 10 years. I was like, there has to be more. And so I got interested in social work school, wanted to formalize my education, and went to Hunter. And that allowed me to make a transfer to the Bronx Psychiatric Center, where I
Mm.
was
Not as a
groomed and
patient.
trained, not as a patient. We see that's the kind of thing we're going to talk about today. That's a stigma right there. See, that's a,
There you go.
this
You
is
said
family.
yes,
That's how we
yes,
talk. That's how we talk. Cause we
yes,
do,
Of
yes,
we
course.
take
yes.
that lightly. We just playing,
Right,
Right,
right.
right, but of
thank you for
course.
that example. But anyway, as I went over there, I got really a unique opportunity to marry substance abuse and psychiatry because at that time,
Hmm.
believe it or not, there were two different spaces. The two spaces would not
Mm,
connect
Interesting.
mhm,
because substance abuse did not know what to do with psychiatry, and psychiatries didn't want to deal with people with substance abuse. But
Mm.
now today we have a behavioral health system. So
right.
I've
Mm.
been privileged to see the evolution of it being married, the two things. And from there I've had like numerous jobs. I always work, come on. I'd had
I know.
14
Mhm.
jobs. Always had an administrative job because
Yes.
I love the administrative work. And I also had a side job doing clinical work, working
Mhm.
with clients in outpatient settings and halfway houses and different settings to maintain that connection with
Right.
the clinical work because I knew that one day I would want to get back to it, but I've also had rich experiences as an administrator, working for some of the largest social service agencies, but I've always landed in all of those paths. Mental health has been the impact, has been the area of focus. And so I've gained a lot of experience and knowledge, and I will say expertise in mental health and being able to um, help people identify it, get comfortable with it,
Mhm.
get the
Yeah.
treatment that they need, and keep it moving.
Right.
People with mental health, they can live rich life. They live rich
Right.
life. You'd be surprised who has mental health, and you would be like, wow. that
Right.
person is functioning. And so, I want to get an opportunity to talk a little bit about that today, about understanding mental health as a whole picture, not
Right.
just as this one thing, and the things that society or that we see on social media or we see on the news, always perpetrating people with mental health challenges
Right.
as something evil or wrong with them, you
Yes.
know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's a perfect. First of all, amazing your background, deep into the space. So there's no doubt that you don't. You speak from it from a place of experience and expertise. So that's awesome. And we while I made that joke earlier, but at the reality is that we talk about understanding that mental health stigma, right? And and how it impacts people individually, and you kind of talked about it already about broadly also community. Uh, I the way I see, some of the stigma that for mental health conditions is like unfairly characterizing people as not being fully competent or somehow less than. Can you speak a little bit more about your experience
Sure.
about what that stigma looks like?
Sure. Absolutely. And that's a big ticket item.
Hmm.
People have a preconceived notion about what mental health is, not understanding that we all have mental health. It
Yes.
just matter where it is on the spectrum. Some
Right.
people need low maintenance and some people need high maintenance and everything in between. And so when we approach it as everyone has mental health, then it takes away some of that negativity of it, because it's not just a condition that certain people get.
Right.
And that's like a whole nother, conversation about the different disorders and,
Right.
what do who gets this, or
Hmm.
what are the factors in that. But generally speaking, when we talk about stigma, I like to categorize it in three areas. Whereas I look about the public stigma, and I'm referring to what the negative beliefs and attitudes that we generally have, and we talked about some of them right now. When
Hmm.
you believe that everyone that's mentally ill is violent, or they're going to
Right.
do something. That's a
Hmm.
notion. And it irks me to no end when there's some type of mass shooting, or there's something catastrophic that happens with the person taking an action right
Yep.
away. Oh, we need more mental health services. No,
Right.
well, maybe that may or may not be true, but it's not always the reason.
Right. Right.
We're not exploring that enough, and we're not really
And we're not holding
delving
people
into
accountable.
exactly of what the issues are that is driving someone to do that. They may or may not have mental health. It could be, but that's just a public perception, just what
Right.
as a society we generally have. There's also a structural stigma, and when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about organizations and institutions. When you go to the hospital and you're having a mental health break, 9 times out of 10 they send you home. They don't
Hmm.
take the time and do the and trust me, I was a part of that system for many years. And I understand the burden of that, because you want to be able to, um, you want to treat as many people as you can, but
Hmm.
sometimes the volume of people that come in with that, you take your risk. You like, okay, this one doesn't look too bad, doesn't sound too bad. They don't sound like they're going to hurt themselves. So let's
Right.
send them home and let them go to outpatient, wait for an appointment 2 or 3 weeks down the line, and maybe they can manage. And so, that's just some other way. But like the other stigma that you see in structure is like when, on a job application, they
Hmm.
used to have that. They took it off or something. They used to have, ask you, or when you're going to interview, they give you these psychological tests and to see if
Right.
they can rule out people. Man, that's
That's
a stigma. You
crazy.
trying to
Yeah,
black
that
out. You
is.
No,
trying to block out people from
it's
applying.
true.
And I'm telling you, I've worked side by side people with serious mental health diagnosis. And trust me, I would rather have an army of them working for me than some of these other people that don't have nothing, and they just
Right.
don't get me started.
Or
That's
at
another
least,
show.
or at least they like to pretend they don't have anything going on.
Right.
Right. That's it, cuz. That's it.
Bingo.
Yes, but it's
I'm
like,
perfect.
just these
Yeah.
these policies and things that get created that put like this invisible barrier up
Hmm.
for people. And then it's the self stigma,
Yeah.
people what you believe, or if I have mental illness, people are going to be looking at me funny. I can't let
Sure.
nobody know. I have to keep this inside. I
Hmm.
can't talk about it. This is a secret.
Hmm.
I can't tell. I can't talk. And I didn't say this when I did my introduction. I'm a licensed master social worker in New York State, and I'm also a licensed social worker in PA as well. And I'm working towards my clinical hours because I was so busy running organization, I didn't take the time to take the clinical test, and now I'm paying
Right.
for it.
Ugh,
But it's good. It's good.
that's,
Everything
yeah.
works out for the good.
It
That's
I'm
is.
all.
very close to getting that clinical license. But I'm saying that to say is that I've seen a lot, particularly these since 2019
Hmm.
to today. I've been in private psychotherapy, working with clients under supervision of a clinical social worker. Working with people from all ages, and when I say all ages, I work with children starting at age 5 and up to whatever age. I don't even remember what my oldest person I've worked with. But the one thing is constant is that they bring most of them a sense of shame or
Right.
Hmm.
embarrassment,
Mm. Like something's
or
wrong with them.
that something's wrong. And like, why
Right.
am I feeling like this? Why am I thinking
Right.
like this? Why am I doing these things in this way? And so that self stigma, that self containment, because you hearing the social stigma. Who wants to come out and say, "Oh, I'm having mental health problems," when they're going to reject you for the job? Who's
Right.
Right.
who's going to be willing
Hmm.
to do that?
I'm having a
So
mental breakdown. Or, just
Right.
like,
exactly,
Well, I
yeah.
think, yeah,
exactly.
even when people want to take a mental health day, they won't say mental health day. They
It's a
would
mental
just,
health day,
right.
which is crazy, right?
They
They
would
they
come up with
Yes,
they
something else
yeah,
just so that they can take that time
exactly,
off.
exactly. Feel that they
Hmm.
have to lie or misrepresent the truth. And it's all
Hmm.
because of how we embrace. And now we have all these things now today, and
Mhm.
I have to say, in the 25 plus years that I've been in this field, um there have been changes,
Yes.
and we still have a long way to go, but there have been changes.
Hmm.
I love when I see these celebrities, they're getting more comfortable and they're making it more
Right.
mainstream, where people can say, "Hey, oh my goodness, they play this, or they
Hmm.
act like this, and they have mental health issues," and people can that resonates for people.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
Hmm.
that helps people, and so that we need more of that. We need it to make it more of a conversation without
Hmm.
judgment or bias. You know,
Yeah.
therefore the grace of God go wide. You trust me. You don't know if that will happen to you. That's why,
Yeah.
and I say this for word true.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I couldn't wait till I passed my 45th birthday. Why was that? Well, because most people have a psychotic break by
Mm.
age 45.
Wow.
Really? I always wonder that. I
I did
always
not know
wonder. I
that.
By
found that
age
always
45. They've
curious. Hmm.
Yeah,
Huh.
go ahead, Nachi.
No, I was going to say that I always found that interesting how people would have these mental breakdowns late in life, and I never
That's so true.
understood why that happened or how did that occurred. Was it like um, a personal a trauma event, or like how does that happen? Or
Well, that's I'm going to tell you what I think and what the literature shows. You know, if you have mental health issues in your family,
Mhm.
there's a possibility that you can have them too. Now, the
Mm.
percentages differs, like on what
Mhm.
it is. For example, if your mother and your father both have mental illness, then that is a good possibility that gene may get passed on to you, but it won't evolve in the same way. You know,
Right.
two
Right.
people with mental health can have a child that's doesn't have mental health. That's that can happen. And so they're still studying this. They really can't say,
Yeah,
oh, this and this equals mental health issue.
yeah.
Right. Right.
Because
But
also
there's
I
a
kind of,
probability.
yeah.
The probability is greater when there's one. And so, I'm frank, and I'm not ashamed of it. My father had mental health.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw
Mm-hmm.
my father, I used to be like, Lord Jesus, keep that thing away from me.
Right.
Because
Right.
he was like, I just don't even,
Yeah.
he took care of the house, he took care of home, but man, that man had some challenges,
Right.
you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, I just couldn't even imagine being him in his body,
Mm.
experiencing the symptoms that he was doing, and taking care of a family, and working and doing all those
Still
things, and
functional.
dealing with mental health,
Yeah.
Right.
you know?
That's
And
hard.
to your point when you said that it, even if both parents have, mental health disorders, how it manifests in their child does is not necessarily the same. And I think that there are external variables that contribute to how that can manifest itself too, that people don't really consider. That, is always this idea of like, well, it's just genetics, and if it runs in your family. But sometimes it doesn't even need to run in your family. You could just
That's
be
right.
going through certain things and certain things happening to you that bring it out. And I think you're absolutely right about mental health being on a spectrum, which to me just makes logical sense. And going back to
Yeah.
Adam calls me a Vulcan, right? Like for me, I'm like 2 plus 2 needs to equal 4, right? And so when I think about mental health, and I'm always talking about health is wealth, and health to me applies to mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental is one of them. There's You have to work at that. You have to nurture that, right? Just as much as you would have to nurture those other areas of your life,
Mm-hmm.
of your health.
Yes, yes.
It's
You want
holistic.
Yes, it is. And you are on target. And so to the point about, who gets it or who doesn't get it and how you
Hmm.
deal with it. The bottom line is there are other factors that can bring on mental health issues. One is drug use.
Mm.
You don't
Right.
you went to a party, you took a tab or something, and you bug out, and you may not never come back.
Yep.
Wow,
You don't
that's
know what was
Drugs,
traumatic.
in that. That
Yeah.
could
it could be
be
drug
real.
induced. That's the
Yeah.
let me use the proper clinical term. It could be drug induced. It can be
Okay.
trauma induced. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
You like to get wet. You got wet.
you got wet, and now you can't get. Ain't no coming
You
back
can't
from
get
that.
dry.
Never, never, ever again.
That's
And
Hmm.
so
crazy.
it's unfortunate, but yes, it's true. And so that's why it's a lot of the studies and things that over time show that there is some connection and link, but no one knows exact what
Right.
makes it open in you, or
Right.
Mm-hmm.
set off in
Mm-hmm.
you in that moment.
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
possibility there, and when I say that 45, I say that with a caveat because I've known people that have been older than 45 and had their first break.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not like it can't happen when you're older. I don't want to give that misinformation.
Right.
It
Right.
can
Right.
happen, but it's less likely
Right.
is the
Mm-hmm.
term that I really
Mm-hmm.
need to use. And so, being able to identify that for yourself, like
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot when you look at it from that perspective and understanding that it is all the things that you're talking about. So let's get into that a little bit because mental health is all of those things you talked about.
Hmm.
It is your health. It is your mental, your spiritual, all of those things. But
Hmm.
even more than that, let's bring it even more clearer. It's your mood,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
it's your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Hmm.
your thoughts, it's your behaviors.
Hmm.
All of those things are interconnected and have to do with your wellness, with you feeling all right, totally. And a change in any one of those things that I've
Yes.
mentioned affects the other ones.
Like we just did a recording on big food, the food industry in this country, which to me I
Why
consider.
why wasn't I invited to that show? I like big
Because
food.
let me tell you, we spent two
Ah,
hours. I had to
yes.
break that up into 2 episodes, and And part of that is the discussion around ingredients, right? And why is it so important
Ooh.
to understand what we ingest because
Mm.
how does it affect us? And some of that is like those ingredients that are pure chemicals like yellow number 5 and red 40. and what the studies have found how that can impact even how some of the kids will get ADHD and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
There've been some
Right,
connections,
right.
right? There's some study out there. Y'all could Google it. But the point is that we start to consume that. It's put in almost everything that we eat. What do you think? That is an external factor, an environmental factor that contributes to potentially some underlying mental illness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
I
takes in
can't
everything. You have
approve
to
or
consider
disapprove that,
everything.
cuz
Oh,
I,
I'm
I
telling
will
you
have.
what I know and what I've done.
All right,
Okay.
cuz I ain't gonna argue with
Okay.
you, but I
Okay.
don't. Your cuz don't know about that one.
You don't have to. Yes, I'm
You
like it's
know,
a study. I'm gonna
I
put it
take
in
your
the
word for it.
notes.
I
I'll
believe you.
put it in the
And
notes.
I'm gonna Google. I need to find that study.
Hmm.
And I want to understand it because that's how we learn.
There's
Things are
links. I'm not
studied,
saying they won't say that it causes because of course they
right?
can.
Right. It's
But there's
they can't say
But
that
links.
about
there's a
anything.
connection, yeah. Hmm.
Just a
So
connection.
you
Listen,
know,
listen. I totally believe because when I'm working with clients with mental health, I'm telling them to look at everything.
you have
I
to.
ask them about how this is why the field merge. They
Hmm.
stop, needing a cocotazo
Hmm.
Hmm.
about why am I treating substance abuse, but you have a psychiatric and I got to send you over there for that.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. We need to treat the person whole. That's why I always love the biopsychosocial model that I was trained on in
Hmm.
social work is that you look at every aspect of the person because all of those things have an impact on them. Their social, their mental, their spiritual,
Hmm.
every part that has to do with them, their emotional, their family, their environment, their home, their neighborhood, their community. All of those are factors, and you have to look at how is a person engaging with that.
It's
How are they
holistic.
connecting? Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So I'm with you with that. It's like that's an important factor. But getting back to like mood and emotion
Hmm.
and understanding is really important to understand. And I like to make the distinction in particular about mood and emotions because I want people to I want you to get that. Your mood is how you feel most of the time. Okay? So when you think about your mood, I want you to think about a day, a week, a month. When I talk about emotions, I want you to look at it as a second, a minute, an hour. Okay?
Yeah.
We use those two terms interchangeably, and I do it too. I'm guilty of it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they really mean two distinct things. And why is it important? Because this is one of the identifiers when you have mental health. So let's just say, for example, and I add this as a question, in the last 2 weeks, how has your mood been? Can you tell me what your mood has been like? Have you been depressed? Have you been sad? Have you been anxious? And out of that 2 week time period, how many days did you have this feel? Well, for nearly half the days for the last 2 weeks, I've been depressed or anxious. That gives me a clue
Mm,
about what's going on with the person. Oh, I've been anxious maybe one day. That gives me a clue
right.
because I want them to be able to interpret and understand that any shift in that is something that requires some attention. And you need to pay attention to because we are so trained
Mm,
to ignore ourselves and keep pressing forward.
yes.
We ignore ourselves and we keep pressing forward. So going to your point about holistic, you have to understand your mood. You have to understand your emotions and you have to understand that you can have two emotions at the same time.
Right.
Okay, let me prove my point. So now I'm depressed because I'm gonna say the most I've been depressed in my life was when my mother passed away. That was
Right.
I was in a state then.
Yeah.
But my boo Bala, little things, flowers, or, a
To lift your
call
So
spirit.
or
your
a cute
emotions, yeah.
text. So in that moment, remember I said
Mhm.
seconds, minutes, right?
Yes.
In that moment, oh, yeah, isn't that sweet? And I would be
Right.
happy, right?
Right.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
my mood will come
Mhm.
back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But eventually,
Yeah.
the mood lifts. And I mean, it happened naturally. It was grieving. So that was a natural
Right.
process. And you have to understand that that's just a natural way that you will be, you know? And so understanding that distinction about your mental health, in terms of your mental health, and managing your mood and your emotions is important because
Mm.
they affect your thoughts and your behaviors. You see how it's all connected? Now
Yep.
you in
Mhm.
a bad mood and somebody steps on your toe. You think you're gonna
Ooh,
be like, "Oh, that's
Yeah,
okay. You
your
didn't do it on
reactions.
purpose."
you're not in the space.
So it makes me think about, just like in our culture, when we
Uh-huh.
think about the women, and I only refer to the women in our family or just in general, how they always had a mood, right? Like I would say, they would
Yes.
always have a mood.
Wow.
Yeah.
But then if you think about like all the things that they probably were dealing with and didn't know how to navigate, those feelings, those um not emotions, but just dealing with those feelings that they were,
Frustrations,
the
everything.
frustrations that they were having. Um, and I wonder, like, how can you even break through that? Like, because they pass that down to the next
Yeah.
generation of how
Mhm.
to deal with their,
Emotions
deal
and
with their
moods.
emotions and their moods.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you break from that? That's just like I think the most difficult thing. Like I can speak for myself.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
I catch myself and I'm like, damn, I'm in, okay, I need to do something. Something's
You
Snap
need
going
to
out of
on.
it.
reset. You need to reset.
Snap
Yeah,
out of it.
yeah.
Reset.
And look,
Reset.
and I've done therapy also, when I know that I've been in like you said,
Mm-hmm.
in a mood for a long period of time and things aren't shifting. It was just that, I had to make that decision. But I know that a lot of people in my generation don't think about
Mm.
going to therapy because
Yep.
they, like, oh, they gotta be something wrong with you. You're quote unquote crazy,
See,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
See, that's
That's
the
how
guy.
they,
Here we go. Here you go again with that stigma. We're going back to the stigma and what
but
yeah.
people
yeah, but
believe
that's, yeah.
mental health is. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use this word because I believe it's what it is. It's the ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes,
know,
it is.
they don't
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
know. They
Right.
Yes.
don't know. They don't understand it. You know how many people right now, man? I see quite a few clients in a week's time, and I'm going to tell you, half of my clients, about 50% of them, are under 30.
Mm.
Oof. That
Under
is
30.
telling. That is telling.
Under 30, right? And I'm going to say about 80% of those come from, I'm going to say, island nations. Not only
Mm-hmm.
DRP, I'm talking about
Mhm.
Trinidad, I'm talking about Jamaica, I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about, the Caribbean.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I see a client right now that, Lord Jesus, I ain't laughing at her. I'm just the thought of it.
Mhm.
She sits in her car on her lunch hour to have her therapy session because she can't have it at home.
Mm.
Mm.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what, so you asking me how you're going to break it is that you have to make up your mind. She
Right.
Right.
made up her mind that she was going to come, and she was like, the only time I could do it is this time during the week because I can use my lunch hour. You have to get
You
to
just
that
make the
point. It
time.
has to get to that point
You
for
have to
you,
prioritize it.
and it's a personal choice. I hope if you're listening to me today, you can choose yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to choose you. It's not
Mhm.
selfish to choose you when you need to replenish. Because how good are you to others if you're not good? You can't
Ella,
give
Yes.
what you don't
Yes.
have.
come on. We
Yes.
say this all the
Come on.
time on the show.
You can't.
Like,
You trying to pour out of a
An
empty
empty
pitcher.
cup. Yes. Mm.
Come on now.
no,
You,
yeah.
you
What I say is it's not selfish, it's self-full. And I am
Mm-hmm.
self-full. And
Mm-hmm.
I can only give what flows over. So if it doesn't flow with over, I cannot give.
Right. And you have to recognize that within yourself that you need,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't normal. You being in this state for such a long period of time, it's not normal. It just because life is happening, because we
Right.
all go through things, doesn't
Yes.
mean that you're the way you feel, what you're dealing with at that very moment is just not, it's not normal. If you feel like this is every day, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months,
Right.
you have to sit, take a step back and start thinking about it,
Houston, we
and
got a
say,
problem.
right, and
Yes.
say to
Right.
yourself, okay, what can I do? I need to do something. I need to talk to someone,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
figure out
Yeah.
what's happening with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I tell you that when I get new clients, that's usually where they are.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I feel so distraught. I feel so
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed that I'm having thoughts about hurting myself. I'm seeing myself driving my car off the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And this person is
Mhm.
living at home, working life every day, having these what we call the proper clinical term is suicidal ideations.
Mhm.
They don't have a plan. Well,
They're
they
just
almost got
thinking
a plan
about
because
it.
they talking about
Right.
they driving a car,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so that moves it like
That's
a little
almost a
step
right.
further. That is intent right there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna drive. I feel like driving a car off. But it's just like the thought of it. Like, what is this life? I wish I wasn't here. I wish I didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
wonder if they would miss me if I wasn't here. I used to think that. Yo, cuz, I
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
used to think that back in the day.
Mhm.
I said, hey,
Mhm.
I don't miss them no more. That's good now. Had to go to therapy. You ain't
I
alone,
Yes.
Nachi. I
Yeah,
no,
went
no,
to
no.
I'm
therapy
telling
for
you.
many, many, many years. I had to work out a lot of things, and
Yes.
you're right. It had a lot of cultural, and it was like, how did
Mm-hmm.
I see my mother process?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You don't
How did
have
they
anything to do with
process?
that.
Exactly. They wasn't taking care of their mental health.
No,
No.
They
not
was
at
just
all.
pushing through and taking
Taking care
care and doing and
of
doing and doing and doing, and
and doing.
not the self care. The self care was
Mhm.
the go
Get
hacerme
to
un alisado y the blower and
The
go
love.
get my hair done to the
Right.
beautician like once or
Yes.
twice a month.
Yes.
Maybe that. But come on, man. That ain't
It's
enough.
true. No,
No,
it's
it's
not.
That ain't
not.
enough.
But that's also not addressing what it is that is causing that mental health,
Yes.
condition
Mhm.
at that moment.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's just
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to. For me, it is sitting down and being super introspective, being still,
Yes.
not doing,
Come on. Now you
and
talking.
it's being because we're human beings, right?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
we have again this generational curse within our family and within Dominican culture. Que siempre hay oficio. There's
Mhm.
always some shit to do. There's always something, and it's like. No wonder y'all like this. It's like I look at mommy and the rest of them like, no wonder y'all are like this because y'all never sit still for one
Still, you can't,
second.
because sitting still
Just
is a
It's like a
ne-
sin
a
to them
sin.
it's
Yeah,
like
it's
a
a sin.
yeah.
because you're being lazy.
I had a session with a client about that yesterday. Like,
No,
so you're gonna keep uh running, and you feel guilty when you're not doing anything.
Mhm.
that's a problem.
You feel guilty when you're not doing nothing. Lord have mercy. I'm
It's
glad I'm over that
that
thing. Let me tell you
condition.
something. I got over that real quick. Okay, I got
Yes.
over that real quick. I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's just too much. It's too stressful. This is why
It
our hair fall
is.
out.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yes.
why we get breakouts. We get all kinds of other symptoms, and this is when I talk about mental health, right? Remember I said
Mhm.
everybody's not at the end where they need
No.
hospitalization and this kind,
Right.
but
Right.
it's the daily mental of the our what we're managing in our own emotions and our own
Mhm.
thinking and our own feelings.
Mm-hmm.
How are we managing those things?
Yeah.
And we didn't have good role models with that,
No.
because
Nope.
it was like, my mother worked from dawn to dusk,
Mhm.
from dawn to dusk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just like, and all I remember, and I meant this. I said, like, I'm not doing that. There's
I
certain
say it
things I
too.
will not do. I
Yes.
don't do. You can't get me if I will pay $100 to sew my shirt. I'm not gonna sew a thing. You ain't gonna never make me sew nothing ever. Okay, you hear me?
Those are fighting with.
Never.
Oh,
I don't
Eda's
know.
Don't
traumatized.
ask me to sew no button. No, I'm not doing
I'm gonna
that.
trigger you so much when I see you person. I'm like, why don't you go sew this shirt?
Listen,
I got this
I'm
hole in
walking
the
about with a
shirt.
sweater. I got a hole in it. Dominique was like, just stitch it. I'm not stitching that up. Nah, I gotta stay. Just like I'm gonna go buy me another one.
That's an act of
No,
rebellion,
that's
right? Because you said,
that and ironing
No.
your clothes. Mama used to love
Oh
to iron
God.
clothes as soon as it come
No,
out
no,
the.
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
need
no,
to
no,
iron
no,
every damn piece
no,
of clothes that
no,
come
no.
out of the
Baby, let me
wash.
tell you something. Ask OT. OT will tell you I'm the queen of permanent press. Half of my clothes is permanent press. Put it on, girl, and it look good too.
well, let me tell
I
you how.
can't, and these things are directly
Yes,
related to,
yes,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
come on, let me
yes,
tell you something. We used to
yes.
get up at 6 in the morning on a Saturday. On a Saturday, go to the Marqueta on
I was
116th
talking.
Street.
It's still there.
Man, but I know, no, but that's when the Marqueta used to be from 125th Street
Right.
all the way down to when it was really the
Mm.
Marqueta,
Yeah,
where you could
yeah,
walk across blocks, okay? You know, now they still got a little piece of it.
yeah.
I'm glad it's historical. They need to
It
keep that
is.
up.
Yeah.
Go there. Go to the 9 supermarkets that she was going to go get all the specials from.
Good
You know,
Lord.
come back to the house. Put the groceries away. Now it's
Oh
time
my
to
god.
clean.
Oh
Now
my
we got to
gosh.
clean the house from top to bottom. Everybody had a chore to do. This is why when you come to my house,
Even cleaning the
you don't see
walls.
nothing on the damn table because my mother has so many damn figurines on that table.
Oh my
The
God.
little chickens, them little
Yes.
chicken things. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm
Yes.
talking about. You know what I'm
Yes.
talking about, right? The
Yes,
little chicken
yes.
things.
Oh
And
my gosh.
and don't leave one piece of dust because guess what? You will have to do it again.
Oh my
And so it
gosh.
was like by 4 or 5 o'clock on Saturday,
You dead
you
tired.
exhausted. And then check this out. Then Saturday night, everybody come over for dinner. They have a party.
Yeah.
So you have to cook and do and get ready. I
That's
was
too
like,
much. This is too
It's
much.
crazy.
this is what I remember. This is and so this is why I understand my own anxiety and my own
Mm-hmm.
anxiousness
Mm-hmm.
Right.
is
Mm-hmm.
Right.
because this was the beat.
Yes.
This was the beat. No,
Right,
I
because you
don't march
also
to that beat
carry
no
that
more.
in every, in every aspect of your life, like
Can
work.
y'all hear me? I can't hear Nachi.
Can you hear? You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh.
I
Can
can
you
hear you,
hear me?
Richie, but
Oh,
now you
okay.
sound better. Because you were a little bit farther from the mic,
Can y'all
but
hear me?
we
I
can
can
hear
hear.
you.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Eda? You can't hear us.
She's like, I hit
You
the
know,
button. She hit the mute
you
button.
hear cuz is old school, man. I'm talking so much, I done turned the computer down.
Damn.
Sorry.
Oh Lord have
I
mercy.
see your
She's
mouth.
like, I
I
can't
don't
hear
hear.
you.
I can't hear. I can't hear.
What's going
Sorry,
on?
y'all. It's all right. It's
It's so
good.
good.
It's
You
good.
know what? That's the beauty of it. Like, you know,
Yes,
um,
yes.
Listen. But
but, but how do we break that? How do we
okay.
break these stigmas? Like,
Now you talking. Now you
yeah.
talk. What we're doing. This is one
Mhm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We're talking about it. Let
Hmm.
it open. Yes, everybody has mental health.
Start the
It's
conversation.
okay if you feel overwhelmed, if you start feeling you're not sleeping at night, you're having pervasive thoughts,
Hmm.
you're excessively worrying about, things that haven't happened yet.
Right.
Go talk to somebody. It's
Right.
okay. You have to educate people. You have to set the table to
Right.
make people feel comfortable about things that they need to do
Hmm.
about their mental health and taking care of it. The bottom line is understanding that mental health issues are not a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
not a sign of weakness. It's not a rare mental health is not rare.
No.
And I didn't even
Not
get
at
into
all.
any data or all of that point, but there's so many people with mental health issues, and especially
Hmm.
since COVID-19. Ooh,
Yeah.
baby.
The
Ooh,
isolation.
that thing burst open so
Hmm.
many things for people.
I'm sure.
And the
Yeah.
greatest thing I say is like most people are anxious. They
Yeah.
recognize their own anxiety. You know,
Hmm.
also besides education, and it's also about what we're doing. We talked about this already. We're communicating about it,
Right.
listening to other people, respecting people's space. If they share something, oh, ain't nothing wrong with you. No, that ain't the
Yeah.
answer. The
Yes, we
answer
hear
is
that a
be
lot.
quiet and
And we
listen.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Be quiet and
Active
listen.
listening. Right.
Active listen. People just always think you got to make a comment.
Yeah, no.
How about just taking it in and saying, I hear
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can I do to help?
Right.
Show that
Right.
support to people and let them know, that they can depend on you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to respect people's autonomy.
Yeah.
They have a right and respect their own decision about if they decide they want to go to therapy. Don't start writing them about going to therapy.
That is true.
Right. Just saying that.
Respect their decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Respect that they want to see a professional. Respect that they realize that they may need some medication. There's
Mm-hmm.
no shame in that.
No.
You know, encourage people to seek professional help.
Right.
You don't even have to try to work it out. Just tell them to
Yeah.
go see someone, and just be supportive. I
Right.
think those are the biggest things that we can do for each other is just to listen and provide that support that you need
Yeah.
to be
Mm-hmm.
able to get people through. You don't even understand what a difference it makes when you sit down and you listen to somebody.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you
How it
just listen to them,
yeah,
how that
how it can
impacts
help
them.
that person.
Yeah, and just say, I hear you. I said, I, I don't have much to say, but I just really want to know how I can help you. Can I help you
Right.
make some calls? Can I help you
Mm-hmm.
look at your insurance and see what kind of coverage you have? I really want to encourage you to see someone that can really talk to you and help you unpack this for yourself and see what things are out there for you. Look at the TV. There's so many things now that you can get therapy now on texting. I can't
I
do that.
know.
I'm not
I,
doing
I
that.
don't.
There's people that like to
I
I'm
join
not
me too.
texting with nobody.
Yeah,
No,
they,
no, no, no,
yeah,
no.
no.
Yeah, I
That's
cannot
too much
do.
for me.
Yes,
But
I
it is
can't see
nice
how
for
you
some
can
But
people.
get.
hey,
Yeah.
if it works
It's
for you,
available. Mm-hmm.
it works for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's available.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's
If
like
it's a
fostering and creating a safe space for people.
yes, and I just love that there's so many agency everything if COVID made it happen. For a long time for a long time COVID didn't have a choice, but they always fought social
Mm-hmm.
workers about um the virtual space.
Mm-hmm.
No, you have to be in the presence of client. This
Yeah.
is what we're gonna pay for if you're with the client.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
boy, COVID changed that because see
Well,
now we
put
can't be
turn
with
that
them,
on its head.
but they still need it. And they
Right.
saw that it was viable
Right.
and it was fruitful and it was useful for people to be able to obtain mental health services from their
Mm-hmm.
home on
Mm-hmm.
the telephone.
Or their
You,
car.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Yep.
but it's that flexibility that allowed that to happen.
yes, absolutely. And so, it's an innovative process.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe that they need that innovation will continue. Now, I'm teasing about the chat. That's not for me. You have to know what your
Yeah.
Yes.
boundary is as a professional, and so that I can't do all that typing. I ain't even gonna lie, but I'll talk to them on the phone.
Right. Right.
Right.
I virtual. 95% of my sessions are virtual,
Yeah.
and talking to people, and they're in the comfort of their home and I'm in the comfort of mine, and we we do some great work together.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly
Mm-hmm.
they're doing the work. That's why I tell them, I say, therapy is work. Is the first thing I tell people. Therapy is
Mm.
work. If you
Right.
want change and you want improvement, then you got to work at it.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
that's the
so that
key.
means in
Yep.
doing it exactly. And then evaluating all the things that come up, as you go along, because at the end of the day, we each have a role in that. And so that's why we joke around. Come on,
Yeah.
we family, and me that's a loco,
Yeah.
but we
Yes.
really, really, really try to challenge ourselves not to use those terms
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're really not positive. But we know, and it's so hard not
Yeah.
to because
Because
we've been doing this so long.
it's
For
an
so long.
evolution too, and
Yeah.
also, I mean, not for nothing. Sometimes it's just like you have to know the person and understand how much of that they'll that'll really impact them. And that's why, yeah, am I going to call a person that I don't really know, or an acquaintance, like, you crazy bitch? Nah. But my cousin, yeah, because I know you and you know
Cause
me.
you know
You
you.
know where I come from.
Oh, you
Just
saying I'm crazy? Is that
no,
what you trying to say?
I'm looking at you,
She's,
but I don't
but
mean you.
she's not saying you.
All right, making
Or maybe
sure we
I
let's
am.
get that straight. Let's get that straight, cause I was
No,
about
no,
to
no, no. But
about to.
so I'm also just not gonna police myself with people I feel safe with. But
Yes,
yes, but the idea of, like, am I gonna use those labels, to
right.
random people or people? No,
But I think also that people just, like you said, we've used it so long, just as
hmm
a matter of speak, like, oh, girl, you crazy, or it's just we
right,
constantly say
Mhm.
these things,
Mhm.
and now
Mhm.
we just have to be a bit mindful of using some other terminology to take the place of what we normally would have said in the
Yeah.
past. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just being
yeah,
Yeah.
mindful.
absolutely. Are there any other things that any other strategies that you would use to, if you see someone that needs help, or and maybe they don't, you want to, like, encourage them, but without making them feel like, you're accusing them of something or diagnosing them with something, but again, creating a space. How do like, what are some other strategies? You kind of touched upon it a little bit already, but do you
Right.
get what I'm asking?
Yes, yes, I do. I do get, because it's a hard conversation.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a hard conversation to have someone that you love and you're noticing these different
Hmm.
actions or behaviors that they're doing. And so always remember, it's not about the person. Speak
Right.
to what you see.
Mm.
And,
I like that.
say, for example, I
Hmm.
would say to you, I said, Damaris, I notice, that you are staring out the window.
Mm.
Though you've been staring out the window for hours. Are you feeling okay? Is anything happening? Are you concerned
Mhm.
Right.
about something? Is something happening?
Hmm.
You know, they give you warning signs
Mm.
of, like, they're not doing well, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
just say what you see. Man, I'm noticing you're not sleeping, and not sleeping is not good for you. It's not
Hmm.
it doesn't promote health and wellness, and I'm concerned about you. I want you to get sleep. Is there something that's keeping you up, or is there something happening with you? And I always encourage. I'm transparent. I believe in transparency, and I always encourage people to say what you see. Don't say it in a vague way. Don't say it in a
Mhm.
way that is like they feel like you're accusing them or something, or you're
Hmm.
blaming
Right.
them.
Right.
Just tell them what you're noticing. And I find that people respond to that.
Yeah.
Like, when you come across empathetic
Mhm.
and caring towards them, it's
Right.
very
Mhm.
important. You
Not
can't be like,
judgmental.
yo,
Right.
what's wrong with you, fool? You staring at that window. That's not you gonna tell them. No, that's
Right.
not the way.
Right. Right.
No.
Mm. No.
Be like,
Because they're gonna
no,
brush it
prima, ¿qué
off and just
pasa?
be like, "Oh,
Exactly.
Right.
well, what are you talking about?"
Or get
Yeah.
Venga
Yeah.
aquí.
defensive and be like,
Exactly.
"What's
And
wrong
that's
with
what
you,
you don't
stupid
want.
bitch? Let me stop."
Exactly. That's how I go. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes, and maybe if you are not able to, and then you see that the symptoms are progressive, in New York, definitely, I know, and some other states use this model too. They have what they call mobile crisis.
Mhm. Mhm.
And mobile crisis will come to the home. The only problem with mobile crisis is like it's such uh, 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 a rich service that they may not be able to come for 2 to 3 weeks. You
Mhm.
Uh,
know, wow,
right.
from the time of the incident. So, you can call
Yeah.
three in New York. You can call 311 and
Right.
say, listen, they're not doing anything that I feel like they're going to hurt themselves or other, but I'm concerned about them, and I
Hmm.
really want to see if there's someone that can come talk to them. Where can I get them connected?
Mhm.
And that's another way of getting people the services. If you're unable to do it yourself, if you don't feel comfortable doing it,
Yeah.
it's important to do that,
Yeah.
to get them what they need,
Right.
because at the end of the day, you don't want it to escalate. When
Right.
things escalate, it escalates with the person going to the hospital.
Mm.
Right.
So if you can interrupt that from going to the hospital,
Yeah.
mobile crisis comes to the house, they'll assess, okay, this person not a danger to themselves or other, but they need to see a therapist. They may
Mhm.
need this, they need to have a medication evaluation. Let's do this while they're at home.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's so much better.
Oh,
And
so much better.
Yes.
that's just one of the things that was a benefit of moving into the behavioral health landscape where they combined everything, is because it forced institutions and agencies to have to deal with the fact that there are people that are in between that chronic and
Right.
non-existent or low existent mental health. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about maintenance. Because again, everybody has mental health. It just
Yeah.
depends where you are on the spectrum. But
Right.
that middle bunch of people, when they closed down, what they didn't close Bronx Psychiatric Center. What they did was they went down from, when I used to work there, I don't want to say a lie, but I remember at least 1,000 beds in the hospital. That today, I mean, well, let me not say today because I haven't been in touch with them, but when I left there, it was slated to be a hospital for 175 people.
Wow.
Thousands to 107. That was the plan for New York State.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Right. And so what happens to all the people? So
Mm-hmm.
they created all these housing opportunities
Mhm.
where people that've been their whole life, most of their life, a long part of their lives inpatient, now you're putting them in the community
Mhm.
What?
without the resources that they need. This happened and forgive cuz, this, I'm trying
No,
to think about the period
Mm-hmm.
of time this happened. Um
but you can see it while you're thinking about that. You
yeah.
That's
can see that
wild.
Yeah.
happening over time
L-
because in New York City, you go to 125th and Lexington.
Ooh, girl,
That
I don't
area,
go there.
it has.
I'm not even gonna
I
lie.
don't either. I have to drive through there because when we come from the Bronx, that is where they take us down. But it is literally, you have methadone clinics, you have um, people that come from the homeless shelter, dropped off from
Yes,
the island.
from
It
Ward
is,
Island.
yeah, and then the people of that community and a number of other, different facilities and things like that that deal with either substance abuse or, all the issues. They want to put it all in this one neighborhood. And you see that some of these people have nowhere to go.
And they
And so
just
like,
hang out there,
and they're dropped off there.
dropped off, no
So like
plan.
if there's no place for them in the hospital, like
That
and
is
they
so
require
wild.
inpatient, that's where they're at.
Yeah,
At least
yeah,
that was the way it was like 10 years ago or so. But even when you walk in
yeah,
there, you can
yeah,
see that it's
yeah,
still probably the same
yeah, yeah.
situation. This is
Mm-hmm.
still drop off point.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And they still have to, even though they, like, as fast as they make the programs, as fast as they get filled, there's so many
Yeah,
people that need services, so many people that need attention, and it's like we don't have the right model. I don't, and
it's
I'm
underserved.
not gonna
It's really
attempt
underserved.
to
Yeah,
say that I'm like the expert and know but the models that they're using ain't really working.
ain't working.
Because let me tell you
Obviously.
something. When the people, your plan is get these people out of the hospital, get them out. It was like being in. I used to hate going to the census meeting at the hospital every Friday because you will get roasted in that meeting if you didn't have a plan. Like they project you will have 10 discharges and you come in, you only did 3 for the week. They don't
Mm.
understand. You dealing with mental health. Like so and so thought they was leaving. They bugged out. They had an episode. Like I don't want to go
Right.
out
Right.
there. You
Right.
you can't just
Right.
put somebody in a new setting. You have
Hmm.
to have some kind
You
of way
gotta
to like
ease them,
integrate them,
transition. Yeah.
ease them, and then
Mm-hmm.
you leave them one day and just run them. Just kidding.
Yeah.
You ease them in. You ease them in, and we created those kind of connections with providers. To help
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
To now um
Lastly is we talked about how do we support our loved ones, and then I just want to close
yes,
out with like how do we support ourselves, and and you talked about it throughout like those check-ins. Is it,
yes,
should I be feeling this way? Should I be in this mood for this
yes,
long? And
yes.
what are those things that you should watch out for? And then what do you do, right?
Yes, yes. So that's easy. One of the things I do with my clients, most of them, is I do a check-in with them. I tell them, tell me your mood,
Hmm.
and I use the two main ones. What are the two main ones? Is anxiety and depression. Zero is not, this is not Eda's model. This is, I'm using cognitive behavior therapy. I love cognitive behavior therapy because it's a therapy that helps you measure and gauge things in a real concrete way
Mm-hmm.
that helps people to start to pay attention, because that's what you want to do. You want to pay attention. And so I asked them, 0 is no anxiety, 10 is the highest. Where are you right now? And then I asked them, tell me where you are. Where were you since the last session?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and start to look at that numbers. And then I can, when I write it in a note, I can see over the course of a month,
Mm-hmm.
their average has been this, is trending the right way. They're managing, they're doing. So what are you doing? Well, first of all, the first number one, and we started with this, so it's nice we're circling back to it,
Mm-hmm.
is self-care.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Self-care. You have to make a decision that you're going to take care of yourself.
Yep.
Right.
That's it. That's a cultural issue for us.
Yes.
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 If you take care of yourself,
You're selfish.
you look, I I got to go back to, because I used to be mad. That's why I don't iron. I used to be mad when I used to see
So
one of our aunts have to iron pillowcases and sheets and
Look,
under.
no. But
No,
doing it for
yes.
you
yourself, that
can't.
prioritize.
You have to prioritize you. Again, you cannot be available to others if you're not taking care of yourself. But see, we're so wired that way
Yeah.
and so trained to push our needs aside
Yes.
and
Especially
take
as
care of the
women,
needs of others, especially as
Right.
women, especially as
mothers,
Parents.
wives.
mothers,
Mm-hmm.
wives. Everybody comes before,
Yep.
except in my house. In my house,
Yeah.
you ask Dominique.
We
I said,
know. Oh, we know.
oh no, I'm
Look,
not doing that. That's my favorite thing. I'm not doing that shit. That'd be my first. That's my
and
favorite
then
line.
you my role model, because
I'm not doing
Dominique
that
would be
shit.
like, "Oh my God, you remind me of my mother."
I
Oh
was like,
wow.
I am not doing her. Exactly. It
Yeah.
worked for
You know
you.
what?
You all right now. Now you
Right.
talking, she talking
Exactly.
smack to Bryce. Now it's so she like, mommy, now I understand. Okay.
Now you
It's
But
understand.
it's
boundaries.
like, no, I'm not.
Boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the thing with me. And I had to apply this to my church life too,
Mm. Wow.
because it's everything.
Yes.
You
Yep.
Yes.
know, it's everything. You cannot be out of balance with all the things that you're doing. Come on now, our role model. You know how they talk about Jesus, y'all. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's our role model.
Yep.
He's our role model. You think he wasn't tired after feeding 5,000 people
Yeah.
Girl.
with 4 fish and two
Right.
loaves of bread? Come on now.
Wasn't he sleeping on the boat and there was like a storm and then his disciples wake him up like we
Wake
scared.
him up. We scared of the boat, Lord.
I can't
We
even
about
Man,
to
in
he's
the
drown.
like, do
boat.
you realize that you are with the one who can calm the waters? Just
Why
chill, man. Just
you
ride the storm. Just
Right.
admire the beauty of the storm, because ain't nothing gonna happen.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I got a mission.
Covered.
I'm here. I'm your security because I'm here. But they
Mm-hmm.
didn't get that. They get their fear overtakes them,
Yeah.
and that's another. That's another sign is when your emotions start to get away from you, when you're worrying too much, you're nervous, you're
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
anxious, you're
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
scared, you're profoundly sad with either with I'm not I don't like to say with no reason, because our emotions shift for some
Right.
reason. We
Right.
just
Right.
sometimes are not in tune with it. But
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, in that moment, it's not nothing like, not nobody passed away or you didn't
Mm-hmm.
Right.
lose your job.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you just in a state of sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
and it's going over a period of time. And so you have to pay attention to that and
Right.
generate activities that's going to help you. Because number one, if you're depressed, the number one thing to help with depression is activities and
Interesting.
distraction. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you feel depressed, get out the
Do
bed,
something.
And do
go
something.
for a walk, go do, and especially something you like. If you
Right.
Mm-hmm.
like, let's just say you like taking pictures, you're a photographer, go outside and take some pictures. That's going to help with your mood. And
Right.
you
Mm-hmm.
keep practicing those things, it helps to shift that,
Yeah.
to help you deal with what
Mm-hmm.
you're feeling. But it starts with you making up your mind that you want to take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that
I
you
love it.
want to say, like, you know what, I can't. So for me, it's I say, well, okay, I'll go for a run. Like, like a few weeks of doing things because church and work and this and that and the
Right.
other. But then I say, well, hold the line there. Like tomorrow's going to be one of them days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow I have absolutely, well, that's a lot because I preach on Sunday, but I'm finished tightening up my sermon. But I don't have to get up early tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
I don't
Right.
have to do anything.
It's
I'm not
good.
gonna make breakfast. I don't feel like I'm not gonna cook. You better
Yeah.
pull out that shredded wheat and some milk and be happy. You know, I'm not going in the
You hear
kitchen.
that, Lula?
Yeah, you better tell her. No, I gotta take care of my brother.
I
I might
know.
make a little whip of a little something, something, something. But it's just
But you're
about
not
that. It's like I'm
overdoing it. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stay in
Hmm.
the bed. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna get up. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I just wanna lay down and I wanna watch the
Binge
Dolphins
out.
beat the Giants again. I
Okay.
watch the
Oh,
football games every
oh,
I
damn.
don't never watch the ones that they lose, but when the ones that
I
they
know
win, I
the
watch
ones that
over
they
again.
win. Sure.
I watch against like, yeah, that was good. That was good. You know, whatever. I feel like it
Yeah.
and how I
Right.
want to
Right.
die. For me, I spend time in my
Yeah.
prayer, reading my scripture. I don't just read the scripture just to preach. I read the scripture to guide me every
Mhm.
To
day.
feed you.
It's
Yeah.
To
important for
feed your
me
soul. For
for
you.
my
Mhm.
mental health. This is how like I stay bright.
Mm-hmm.
I stay connected. I stay engaged. I have to do this. I talk
Yes.
to people every day. Some days I have 8 to 9 clients
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and with a varying of emotions and things and anxiety
Mm.
and depression and job jeopardy and dealing with life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so
Yep.
for me to bring my A game, I have to be rested. And
Yep.
so these are
Praise
some of the
God.
things that I do to rest is, you know what, Lord, I want to hear from you. And I love where it says, and I don't remember the address, but it says, be still and know that I am God. And
Right.
so you
Mm-hmm.
have to be still.
You have to be still.
You have to be
Yep.
still and you have to take time to be still, to be quiet, not talking.
Yes.
Sometimes I like practicing silence. Dominique used to, I used to bug out Dominique. Dominique used to come home and everything would be off. And she would be like, "Ma, what's going
What's
on? What you
wrong?
do?
You
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 all right?"
okay?
you all right?
Yes. Can I be quiet with my God? Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
I want to be quiet. It's all
Yeah.
right to be
Yeah.
quiet
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and learn to deal with the noise that's
Yep.
here. Because see,
Mm-hmm.
that's why people don't like to be quiet is because there's so much noise happening and
They
they
don't
don't
like
know
Yeah.
to
what
be
to
Yeah.
manage
still.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So if that noise doesn't calm down on its own, then I suggest you speak to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, if
Yep.
that noise, if you're able to, because each one of us, we know that our minds wander, and that's a part of human nature. And at the same time, you can like, even for if for 60 seconds, let me just be quiet and be still and not think of anything and just be present in this moment. One of the
Right.
biggest things that I teach my clients, and there's a tool, how do you do this, is to practice mindfulness.
Yes.
You have to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the act of being aware in this present moment
Mm-hmm.
where I am right now. I'm not thinking about what's over there. I'm not thinking about what's behind me. I'm thinking about
Right.
me right here
Yep.
at this moment in time and whatever kind of activity that I need to do to help me do that.
Yep.
So I encourage breathing. People think like, oh, that's all. Tell me to breathing.
No.
It's
No,
been
breathe.
studied for centuries.
Look, we had an episode in our season one about breath work. Breath work really is
It's a
Yeah.
so
thing.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's breathing exercises will help regulate your body.
It
And
resets
people
your
need to
brain
do
every
And
time.
yes.
if you ever like if you take those moments of just being still, sometimes you would realize that you're not breathing because I would
You're
catch
holding your breath.
myself. Yes, I would catch myself like, bitch, what's wrong with you? Take a breath. Inhale.
Talk to yourself.
Exactly.
But
Self-talk is
you
good.
right.
Nothing wrong with self-talk.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you
That's
realize
a
that
tool.
you're holding your breath, especially like if you're doing something or so, especially something that's like that's creating a lot of anxiety. You tend to
Yes.
just like hold your breath because you're trying
Yes.
to get over whatever it is that you're trying to do,
Yes.
and you're holding your breath. So kind of going back to what you said, is just being mindful and just staying still and just taking that
Yep.
Yes.
that
I
breath
always
in.
tell them about the pause.
Yep.
I tell
Mhm.
them this is what, and that's why I tell my clients all the time, it's work.
Mhm.
So if you're not going to work, don't come,
Mhm.
because I'm not going to listen to the same story over and over again every week.
Right. Right.
We're
Right.
going to talk about that story. Why is this story repetitive? And I don't mean I'm being
Mhm.
facetious with
Yeah.
you,
Mhm.
but I
Mhm.
tell them, I was like, I find it interesting. This the same thing you share.
Yeah.
What are you getting out of this story? What is
Mm.
different? How are
Mhm.
you going to be different? What do you need to be different?
Right.
And kind of
Yeah.
encouraging them to find, because I never give the answer. They were like, well, tell me what to do. I was like,
No.
No. Yeah.
what would you do? Because I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell you the answer. But
Right.
No.
the bottom line is just that self-reflection in the moment,
Mhm.
Yeah.
saying to yourself, I'm going to pause,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take 3 breaths, and then I'm going to respond.
Right.
And I have them practice different levels of breathing depending on what they need. Some of
Yeah.
them need to go somewhere and go sit out before they talk, because
Right.
they know
Yeah.
they have this emotion outbursts, and that's part
Mhm.
Right.
of mental health. Is like our
Mm-hmm.
emotions deregulate
Mm-hmm.
when we get triggered by something someone said
Right.
or
Right.
somebody
Right.
did.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
to
Got
deal
your notes
and
about that.
yeah, and to deal I ain't getting involved, cuz. And to deal also with anxiety. That one right there,
Yeah.
breathing is
Mhm.
so good. And I'm telling you,
Absolutely.
just if I do a study just on the cases that I work, they come in, they can't wait for me to do the meditation with them. It's like, are we going to do a meditation today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
they
That'll
get
help.
a cut as they practice. There's
Yeah.
so many apps. There's so many things
Mhm.
on Google and YouTube. You put
That
in,
Yeah.
you can.
Look,
Yes.
I would love for you to, because I know there's so many things that you know about resources, because I want to put that in the notes. So please, after our recording, if you could send me like a list of things, because I want to put that in
sure.
there. Because that's, you, you mentioned a few already, and I'm like, yeah, there's so many things out
So
there that
many apps,
people,
so many apps. It's just
yeah,
it's ridiculous. Dominique is always telling me about. I got like 5,000 apps on my phone. My phone look crazy with the apps,
You're not
because I
alone.
got look. I got, oh yeah. I can't show you. You can't
you know,
see it.
yeah,
It's
you
too
can.
much glare.
Oh,
Because my light is right
yeah,
there. But I'm telling you,
thank you.
I gotta scroll over like 5 times. I'm at the point now that I have to
Yeah.
type in what it is to
Yeah.
find
Me
it,
too.
Right. Oh,
You're not
because I
alone.
just got
your family.
I got a prayer app, I got a this app, I
Good
got,
Lord.
I love the pray as you go. Oh, I love that
Mm.
app. Oh my God.
No, so
That's good for
There's
my
something.
Catholic brothers and sisters. But I'm
okay,
Baptist, but you better not play, you better leave them
look,
chimes alone. Them chimes help you get, you
yes.
know, it's
No,
about
it's
centering and
sound for
Yes.
everything. Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, and the
All the
beautiful
senses.
reflections that they do is just beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful. And so I really love that app. So I'll give you some. I'll write it out for you and send it
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Mhm.
And some of them will be, of course, have a Christian perspective, and some of them will
Right,
be just general
right.
things. But
And people
I'm
can make
saying,
that decision for what's
you
appropriate
go
for them. So,
exactly. You Google, I need a 10-minute I need a no. I need a 1 minute, because if you've never meditated and you never
You need
tried
to
to do
start
yeah,
it,
you need to
slow.
you need
start
to
Mhm.
start very small
small. Yeah,
increments. Because if you try to do
agree.
20 minutes, let me tell you what's going to happen.
You're gonna give up.
You're going to be like, oh, I
After
can't
two
do this. It's not
minutes.
for me.
Yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
No,
Mhm.
my only suggestion, if you really want to try it, is have a notepad and a pencil next to you, so that when your mind wanders, you write it down and then get back to the meditation.
Mm,
Mhm.
You
That's
start
a
to
good
train.
one.
You have to train
train yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
All of this
Mhm.
self-care is a training. You have to
Mhm.
train yourself to self-care. You
Mm-hmm.
have to train yourself to say, like, I can't give anymore. I
You
can't
got to
Right.
give this
unlearn.
time. I like how you
Right.
said it about, there's nothing overflowing over here. So
No.
Mhm.
I can't do that,
Mhm.
and
Mm-hmm.
knowing your own limitations and setting boundaries.
And that's so
Yep.
important. Yep.
Boundaries.
All of
Lord
that.
have mercy.
You,
All of those
yes.
things. I mean,
Yes.
come on.
No,
I'll
no.
be
We
here with y'all all
we
night.
could be
Stop
here for
playing
hours.
with me.
No, I was gonna say no. We could be here for hours because there's so many things that, again, it's not just mental health. It is everything. It's everything about your life. So that includes the physical, that includes the emotional, the spiritual, and the mental. And all of those contribute to each other in some way of how you are on that spectrum of health. And
Yes.
so with that said, we're so grateful to have had you on the show. Heather, we love
Yes.
you to pieces. And
Love you too,
we're so
cousins.
grateful that, hey, number one, that you're related to us and
Right.
you've always been a resource for us, a rock for us. Praise
Amen.
God. you know,
Amen.
so unofficially our therapist when we need it, and our support, like in our rock, like I just said. And
Yes.
then I would love for you to share what services people you may offer to the public that people may be interested in, and and
And
let
how
our
they can
folks,
reach you.
listeners, know how they can find you.
Right. Well, I think you can find me. There's a website called Zen Care. And so I'm listed there because, as I said, I started from the beginning, all transparency. I'm not licensed to practice independently, but I can assure you that that's just a formality because of New York State and their root. But I ain't going to get into that beat, whatever. I'm doing my time.
Right.
And I anticipate I'll come back when I get my clinical license where I could practice independently. But you can find me in Zen Care. I work for 3 great agencies that provide psychotherapy. One is called Effective LCSW Services. I also work for Open Minded Therapy. And I just started with Comprehensive Counseling. And I like all of them. And you say, well, why do you work with 3 Because, sometimes you got to watch the flow of clients. And so I need to
Hmm.
maintain my calendar at a
Hmm.
certain level so that I can,
Yep.
I gotta work, I gotta eat, right?
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
I
Exactly.
have to hit that number, every month, and pretty much being with 3 helps me to do that. Plus I
Okay.
do some other work that's non-related to mental health, so I ain't even gonna mention it, but not you, you know
Okay.
what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Uh, uh,
Wow.
but I really, really, really seriously, but all
Yeah.
seriously, I'm going like full time into psychotherapy because it's really
Mm.
where my
I'm
my
excited.
heart
Yeah, that's
is,
your
Yeah.
passion.
where my passion is, and it lines up with my calling on my life because I'm
That's
called
it.
Yeah.
to serve, and I serve at the pleasure of my pastor at the Mount Carmel Baptist Church, where my pastor is the Dr. Reverend Dr. Anthony Lowe, and my assistant pastor is Reverend Dr. Zoleka Adams, and I'm a associate minister there, and I've been there for 27 years, and the
Wow.
Lord has brought
Wow. I
me a
can't believe
mighty,
it's been that.
mighty, mighty long way,
Mm.
and
Yes.
I have finally come to the point where all parts of me have merged. It's
I love
Mm.
it.
okay to
Beautiful.
be all the pieces that I am and that
Hmm.
I bring to the table, and it's what I bring in the work that I do with people.
Right.
I offer a non-judgmental, unbiased reception. And if you want to work, I'm going to put my hand with you. I'm going to work with you to help
Hmm.
Okay.
get you where you want to go.
I love it. I love it. So, with that said, I'm going to close out with a statement that we always close out with. There's a lot of noise out there. Boy, is there a lot of noise out there. But our message is consistent. Stop getting distracted by the smoke and mirrors. Tune out the noise and focus on your purpose in life. What brings you joy in life? Because we're put on this earth, we're meant to be joyful. So live your truth. Vibrate higher. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Zins.
Yes.